I will never make this mistake again when buying a new Harley Davidson. That's what I'm going to talk about today as I share my experiences and my mistakes with you in hopes that if you're looking at your first Harley or maybe your fifth Harley, maybe there's some things here that you haven't run across. And so hopefully I can make that experience just a little bit easier for you. Because if you think buying a motorcycle is easier than buying a car or a truck, it's really not. The same kind of stuff goes into it, but there's a lot more sweet talking that kind of happens behind the scenes. And we're going to cut through the BS, and I'm going to share these mistakes in hopes of helping somebody out there. And so if you have your own experiences that you want to share down in the comments, make sure you leave those too. And if you're watching this video and you're like, man, what other kind of information can I get? Check the comments out because you will get a lot of great information from fellow riders down there as well. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, here's the first mistake that I made buying a new Harley. And this is one that's so stupid, right? I'll tell you right off the rip, it is absolutely one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Not sitting on the motorcycles before I buy them. Now, if you are a longtime fan of the channel, you know I've talked about this mistake before, but I will re-emphasize it because I was very dumb in thinking. Now, I'll kind of share my thinking here so you kind of get an idea where I was coming from. My thought was I haven't ridden in 10 years. This is with the Iron 883. So I haven't ridden in 10 years. I don't like the Street Series. The 1200 might be a little bit too much for me. Maybe not. But anyways, I said, okay, 883. That's perfect. It's all blacked out. This thing is fantastic. So I went with a new Iron 883 for my first motorcycle in 10 years. Now the bike was okay. I mean, I like it, but I found myself very quickly bored with the bike and it just was not set up very well for me. And at the time, it wasn't like I could do a whole bunch of upgrades to the thing, right? I had to take my time with that stuff for sure and just kind of save my pennies. And I really never did a lot with it. And to be quite honest with you, even though I appreciate the bike now, I appreciate it more than what I did then, if that makes any sense. And if I would have taken more time, visited more dealers, not just Harley dealers too, but visited more dealers, checked out more motorcycles, hell, even in the dealer I went to, which was a Harley dealer, I could have probably found a used one with maybe a set of handlebars, maybe a different seat, maybe just a little bit different setup all the way around. So it really was one of the most simple things you can do. If you run across a dealer, and I haven't ran across many of these guys, but if you run across a dealer that doesn't let you sit on the bikes, take time with them, or test ride, don't buy from them. Take a little bit more time. Actually, that's going to be the next thing I'm going to talk about. But before I get to that, here is something that is not a mistake. I am giving away a 2021 Harley Davidson Street Glide with less than 10,000 miles to one of you. That's right. Because of the success of the first two giveaways, now we're doing the biggest one that I have ever done on this channel, and I am super stoked. And by the way, this thing is far from stock. We already have a Stage 1 tune with Vance and Hines pipes, and we have a Saddleman seat coming along with some stuff from my buddy Ryan at Law Abiding Biker. We have upgraded handlebars already on this bike. This thing is gonna be freaking slick whenever it gets to whoever the winner ends up being, and it can be you. The rules are simple to enter as well, right? We make these as uncomplicated as we possibly can. You click the link in the description. That's going to take you to Headshot Nation. That's the community that I started with our first giveaway, and it just keeps growing every time we do one of these. And so with your entry, you get access, 3 months access to Headshot Nation. So you can talk back and forth with community members, share your own bikes, share issues that you may be having with your motorcycles, get ideas from other riders, and openly talk with people and not be chastised. It's a interesting part of the internet because most of the time you can't share any and everything that you actually want to without getting, chastised and all that kind of stuff. Here, it's not like that. These are like-minded riders and gun people too, right? So both communities are combined. So you can talk back and forth with me. It is a fantastic place to be. So you get access to that plus the entry to win the motorcycle. So aside from that, that's it. Starts February 20th and goes until midnight Pacific Standard Time on May 9th. Big thanks to you guys for supporting me in what I do and allowing us to be able to continue to do these incredible giveaways. And we've already made 2 new riders from these giveaways, by the way. So we're going to make another rider. So no matter if you're looking to add another steed to your stable or your first, make sure you enter down below. Good luck to every single one of you. Now, here's another mistake that I've made, and that is time. Now, this is just a personal problem, okay? And most of it is, right? But I tend to be impulsive with vehicles. It's taken me a really long time to kind of break this habit because I know if I take a little bit more time, I'll probably talk myself out of it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But even if you don't talk yourself out of it, by taking more time, you can come across way better deals. Or, like we said before, maybe even a bike that suits your needs a little bit better. Remember, when it comes to motorcycles, even though I've ran across some really great Harley dealers, the 21 Street Glide we just bought that we're giving away, that came from Orlando Harley. Those guys treat me freaking amazing. I've ran across some bad Harley dealers, but there's also good independent dealers. So if you take a little bit of time, call around, hell, some of these places will actually deliver to you. There's already a freight charge built into these motorcycles. And so a lot of the times they will deliver. And if you can't find one that delivers, well, call another one, because I promise you, you will be able to find somebody that has a truck that goes up and down the coast or wherever you are. By taking a little bit more time, doing a little bit more research, I promise you, in the end, it will pay off. There is no rush when it comes to this stuff. Take your time, find the bike you want, and check out multiple dealers before you commit to any of them. Now, once you make that commitment, go to your bank first. Before you get in the dealer, go to your bank first. Give them an idea of the price of the bike that you're looking at. Now, they're going to need a little bit of information, of course, but if you go that route, I can almost guarantee you, unless Harley is running some kind of crazy deal, you're going to get a much better deal. You're going to save yourself so much money over the life of that loan by going with your own bank. Harley Financial is good if you're somebody that's like rebuilding credit. And I know there's people that are like, oh, never finance a bike, only pay cash. Well, realistically, for a lot of us, that's just not feasible, okay? So if you're kind of on the mend with your credit, Harley Financial can be there for you. You're going to pay more for it because of their interest rates, but they can help you out. I'm not saying they're like the devil in disguise, but their interest rates typically are higher than most other banks that I've seen. Now, motorcycles are going to be a little bit higher anyways because they're considered luxuries in the United States, which is so stupid because they are a real form of transportation for a lot of people. Regardless, if you finance, that is something you want to consider. Go to your bank first if you can. Save yourself potentially thousands of dollars by doing it. Here's one of the most important things I can tell you when buying your first bike. Buy it used, because even if you ignore all other advice about upgrading your motorcycle too soon, not taking more time with the bike that you already have, taking more time to master that motorcycle at slow speeds, that's going to help you so much. But I'll save that for another video because it is super important. But if you ignore all that and you're like, this bike isn't good enough, I'm ready to upgrade. If you bought a used bike, you're going to have a much easier time getting out of that thing and not really costing yourself a whole lot. If you buy a new one and you don't have a pretty good down payment, chances are you're going to be upside down for a while. So you're going to be committed to that bike for a while. So you're going to have to keep it. So if there's a potential that you're going to want to get out of this thing within a short amount of time, I'd say within a year, buying used is incredible. I mean, look at the 21 Street Glide I just bought. It doesn't have the latest and greatest screen, doesn't have the upgraded lights. There are some features that it's missing from the new ones, for sure. But we got that bike for a screaming freaking deal. Under 17 grand for a bike with less than 10,000 miles on it. That is super clean with a lot of awesome upgrades already. I love the bars on this bike. So if this was a bike that I was buying for myself, it already has handlebars. It already has a stage 1. Full exhaust, by the way. It's pretty amazing. Now, typically I like all blacked out, but still, the black against the chrome, heck, I can live with that thing. It's freaking awesome. It's got the Boom GTS. It's got ABS. It's got speakers. There's a lot of room there to upgrade. Even if I bought a 24 Street Glide, which are coming in at like 26 grand for a brand new bagger, by the way, which is actually not a bad deal, I still save myself almost 10 grand going this route. And you can get deals at Harley dealers and even independents, and they really don't even have to be in your area. You can have these bikes shipped to you a lot of the time. There's some extra logistical things, but it can be very, very much worth your time and effort to do so. Now let's say you've got to that point. You're like, all right, I'm ready to trade in. Anything you do on the bike, keep your used parts, or keep your original parts, not your used parts. Well, I guess they are used. Keep them, especially if you're going to go for a bike where the parts are interchangeable, right? Definitely, before you send pictures and go to trade-in values and all that kind of stuff, take the stuff off that you can, put it back to as close to stock as you can, because at the end of the day, they're not going to give you that much more for the upgrades on this bike, right? Look at the one that I got. They didn't give him a whole bunch of extra money just because he did those things with it. So at the end of the day, I benefited from it. And really, at the end of the day, one of y'all is going to benefit from it. If you can, keep those old parts, put them back on when you're ready to trade. And so that way, even if it's not interchangeable with the bike that you're going to be getting, you can sell those parts on Marketplace. Get yourself a little bit of money in your pocket. So that way, you can do some upgrades when your new bike gets in. And the last mistakes I want to talk about, not including the cost of insurance, riding gear, and parts that will protect your bike. So riding gear, helmets, jackets, gloves, boots, shoes, jeans, whatever, all of it is very expensive. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can cheap out on it if you want to, but if your head's worth anything to you, you're going to want to buy a good helmet. Here's an investment that I made recently. A airbag vest. If I go down, I want to be able to protect my back especially. Now, I don't know if I can wear that thing in the summer. It doesn't have great ventilation, but still it's something that I know I can pretty much wear in the winter time, right? But this stuff is expensive. Insurance, depending on the bike it is, right? You got to factor that in. And one of the most important things, engine guards, saddlebag guards. These are like mandatory things for me to have when I buy a new motorcycle. So the community member that won the Iron 883, I made sure to put protection on that bike, front and rear. So he had that stuff. And the other thing too, it's not just the extra cost that comes along with this, because I guess you can save yourself some money buying a motorcycle, but at the end of the day, the fuel economy might be better, but who cares? I mean, it's something, but whatever. Anyways, you're not going to save yourself a ton of money, right? Motorcycles are expensive. They just are. But if you're going to buy something so expensive, one of the biggest influences on people when it comes to bikes are their friends, right? That was a big reason I bought the Street Glide Special. A bike, still to this day, I kind of regret selling. I absolutely love that motorcycle. I didn't find myself doing as much touring as I thought I would, or long distance riding. Now, I still ended up loving the bike, but still, sometimes you're gonna probably wanna cater your bike to your riding style and the way your friends ride too. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to ride like your friends do, because if they're on a higher skill level, you don't wanna be following them up because you'll get yourself hurt. But what I mean is that, let's say you buy a Sportster, right? There's nothing wrong with a Sportster. Some guys are like, oh, it's a Sportster, it's a girl's bike, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not that guy. They're pretty cool, you know, for around town kind of things. They're just underpowered, but I like the old Sportsters better than any of the new stuff they have. So anyways, you buy a Sportster. You and your friends like to go on the weekends and go for 2 or 3 hours at a time. You have to consider, okay, I'm going to be the reason that we're stopping every 75 miles or 80 miles or maybe 100. Maybe it is worth it to buy, not necessarily like a big bagger if you're not ready for it, but maybe a motorcycle with a little bit bigger tank that can take you a little further. So don't get those two things conflated. You don't have to ride like your friends and put yourself in a bad situation. But if you plan on riding with friends and you guys plan on doing longer distance stuff, or maybe you guys are going off-road more than on-road, right? Maybe adventure touring. If you buy a Harley Davidson Road Glide and your friends all kind of have like Pan Americas and KTMs and stuff, it ain't gonna work. You know, you can ride with them to the place where the trails that they're riding, but after that, yeah, good luck. Consider what your friends have, and that doesn't mean you have to necessarily buy what they have, but something more in line that will kind of fit with the riding that you want to do. Consider that as well. And that's it. These are mistakes that I've made buying new and used Harley Davidsons, buying, selling, trading, all that kind of stuff. So I've shared my experiences. Now I want to hear from y'all. What are some mistakes that you've made in buying new Harley Davidsons? Make sure you leave that down below. And of course, if you like what I do and you want to support what I do and you want a chance to win a freaking amazing motorcycle, make sure you click the link in the description. Go over to Headshot Nation, sign up to win the 2021 Harley Davidson Street Glide, and come join Headshot Nation in the community over there. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.